Chapter 1. Rebirth. In a dimly lit bedroom with cracked coffee-colored walls, a fragile silhouette lay under a thick, rumpled comforter. This figure was Tyla White, an 18-years-old fragile-looking girl with soft, delicate features, made even softer by her long, flowing, dark hair, which hung messily over the pillow like ink dripping across a canvas. Her small face was adored with delicate features, while the pinkish glow on her cheeks accented her youthful beauty, in a stark contrast with that frown on her brows, unsettling as it was. She tossed and turned in her troubled sleep, indicating that whatever dreams tormented her were distressing, leaving shadows on her almost serene face. Birds were gently trilling outside. Their soft trilling took its place in her consciousness, mingling with the golden sunlight spilling through the sheer curtain into the room, rendering it warm and cozy. Yes, a calm day was going on, before suddenly a very disconcerting sound of buzzes and clicks filled the air. Bind at Pippi ind. Tyla woke up with a startle, her heart racing, and panic setting heavily onto her chest. Did I die? Am I in heaven? Her thoughts descended into a chaotic whirl, an array of confusing feelings and fears. The room seemed to give a very familiar feeling to her, and indeed evoked some recognition to spark within her mind. Why does this room feel so familiar? In her hastiness, she threw the blanket aside and swung her legs over the bed's edge, sitting upright in disorientation. Her breath became uneven as she took in her surroundings with wide, bewildered eyes. In front of her, a big wooden cupboard stood against the wall, its surface marred with sporadic stains, a silent witness to years of use. To her right was a nightstand. Upon it laid half-read books mixed with empty mugs and other misplaced tokens, each a segment of memories, so familiar-sounding yet distant. Behind her, the bed lay in disarray, sheets crumpled and entangled as if they were a reflection of her confused mind. It was her bedroom in the apartment she rented 5 years ago. A mix of anxiety and unfulfilling curiosity made Tyla rush to the window and tug open the curtain, and a flood of light poured over her. Outside, a bright and lively world existed, a sunlit street lined with houses where neighbours waved good-naturedly at each other and children played beneath shivering leaves. Nevertheless, struck by such simple beauty, a heavy stone sat in her chest. Then her gaze settled on a calendar hanging above her bed. The date glared back at her, 25th January 2025. As she processed the date, disbelief hit her like storm. What is happening? The question spilled from her lips hoarsely, filled with incredulity, as she searched the room again, desperate for validation. On the nightstand, her eye caught a mobile phone. She grabbed it with shaky hands and unlocked it. It displayed her greatest suspension. The date was indeed January 25th, 2025. Have I been dreaming all along? The thought slammed into her like a tidal wave, and a fresh surge of tears swept down her cheeks, each drop symbolizing her pain and confusion. Several moments passed, and she took a shuddering breath, trying to find solace and comfort in the familiarity of her own bedroom as she wiped her eyes and gathered her composure. Resolved to get out of her burdening thoughts, she walked to the kitchen, a small rescue from her chaotic mind. Opening the fridge door, chilling air brushed past her. Her half-dazed eyes scoured the shelves, looking for something to get rid of her gnawing hunger. On the second shelf, raw chicken drumsticks were lying right next to some leftovers. A strange uncertainty settled upon her as bits and pieces of an intensely vivid and haunting memories invaded her vision. She had lived through apocalypse where starvation, betrayal, and death could happen at any given moment. Food had become a luxury, trust an illusion, and every meal could be her last. The memories of that world, so harsh and relentless, clung to her now, making the appearance of an untouched meal almost unreal. With newfound purpose, she seasoned the chicken drumsticks and put them in a hot pan on the stove. Their calming aromas brushed past her senses, relieving her mind for just a moment. In the meantime, she warmed the leftovers, the rich aromas filling the kitchen while her stomach growled with expectancy. In a frenzy, she wiped clean the last remnants of the food in front of her. 5 tender chicken drumsticks, 3 generous plates of fluffy rice, and 2 servings of vibrant peas and carrot, each mouthful doing the trick of grounding her from the frenzy in her mind. But with each morsel, she also thought if she was actually awake right now or trapped within a cruel dream where she could wake up at any moment. Finally, when her belly felt so stuffed, she stood up and wandered back to the living room, letting herself fall onto the fluffy sofa that held her tired, weary body. Her hands rubbed against her overloaded stomach, trying to soothe not just her physical discomfort, but also the spiraling thoughts in her mind. Was this really happening? The question echoed within her soul, burying itself deep as she strove to understand what reality had come to surround her. Just as she thought she could finally find relief in the silence, a mechanical voice startled her with dissonant chill. "Hello, I am System 111. Would you like to bind the system?" Fear gripped her again, and she shot up like lightning, her heart spasming in her chest. "Who are you?" she cried out, her voice shaking by fear and confusion as she scanned the room for any sign of life or exploration. "Hello, I am System 111. Would you like to bind the system?" The chilling familiarity of that voice sent a shiver down her spine. It wasn't just familiar, it was the last thing she heard before being torn into pieces. Her memories came back, slamming her mind with the impact of a speeding train. She remembered herself on the ground, blood pooling underneath her body, agonizing pain racking her as decayed hands clawed at her flesh, while the grotesque stench of death assaulted her lungs, and her screams drowned by the guttural snarls of the undead. And among it all, through the agony and horror, that voice had echoed in her mind, calm and emotionless, offering something incomprehensible to her as she was being ripped apart. Her breath caught in her throat as the room's walls seemed to close down on her. Was she really alive? Were the 5 years spent in the apocalypse merely a nightmare? Had she truly escaped? Or was this some cruel illusion before death took her once more? Tyla's heart beat wildly in her chest, as if torn between the past's overwhelming fear and the desperate hope of somehow still having a second chance to fight back. Thanks for listening to this chapter. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more, and share it with someone who loves a good story. Your support means everything. See you in the next chapter.